Hey everybody, let's go ahead and do it. Do I need to do it? We're on, huh? Are we live? Let's do it. Let's go. Let's move into it. Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to the August 1st, 2020 one-page salon brought to you by the Writers League of Texas. I'm Owen Egerton. Welcome. Thank you guys for being here via Zoom if you're watching on Facebook, or if you're somewhere in my writing shed and I can't see you just watching, which is likely. There's a lot of crap in here. This is the cleanest part of my writing shed is right behind me. There's also both a possum, a squirrel, and most recently, an armadillo has been seen just outside my shed. So there's all kinds of things that might happen during tonight's one-page salon. For those of you guys who have never participated or been a part of this, basically one-page salon is a gathering of creatives of all kinds, and we have a lineup of writers, poets, screenwriters, musicians, all kinds of different creatives who share one page of a work in progress or something that's maybe recently published as well. And we used to do this at the North Door here in Austin, Texas, but over the last several months, for reasons, it's hard to explain why, we've gone online. And we've been doing it online, which has actually been a really wonderful experience. It's been so good to hang out with writers from around the world and around the country, and all different people. Some people who were like didn't want to go down to downtown Austin, even on a on a weekend night. So it's really great to have you guys all here. We've got a cool lineup of writers. Many of them were going to be joining us for One Page Salon way back in March when we were going to do one in San Antonio for the for AWP, the Association of Writing Programs. But because of all kinds of, we canceled that one for health reasons, and now we've got so many of them here and just a great lineup. I'm so excited. This is really, really great. You get to see, if you guys can see, all the different beautiful writers who are above and below me, depending on how you're viewing this on your Zoom. So get ready. It's going to be a fantastic lineup of some writers that I just truly, truly love. Also, if you're watching and participating on Zoom, there's a whole chat room. You got a little chat thing at the bottom of your screen. Why is Taryn Edgerton getting a quote on my page?
Because I'm looking for quotes from you, but I can't find any.
Man,
he is the more famous Egerton.
He most certainly is. You really.
Every time I try to call him, I end up calling you.
Do you ever accidentally call Colin Firth?
I would talk to either one of those men any day. Taryn Edgerton is yeah. Ooh, I like Taryn Edgerton. So we have a chat room. So there's a chat room, and if you want to get on there and talk and communicate, it's the one time that during a reading it's not rude to talk. During a reading. It's a great way of doing it. And there's also chances to snap or clap or appropriately send out your joy. Because trust me, wherever you are right now, you're going to be making noise. Because if there's one thing that we know, it is literary readings are noisy, rambunctious events. So I'm really, really excited. Thank you guys all for being here. Really appreciate it. We did tell everyone, if you wanted to dress up, thank you, Manuel, for probably dressing the best I've ever seen you dressed.
I do my best.
We know. And Becca, how are you, Becca Oliver?
I'm good. I'm entertained. It just started and I'm already laughing. I love it.
That I am entertained too, by not even having a quote of mine that you can find on the internet, knowing that my ranking is I don't even have an internet presence.
Maybe someone will write about this night and they'll quote you, and then that will show up next month when I search for you again.
There we go. maybe by next month I will have Colin Firth's number in my phone, and you can just change Taryn. You can just.
I mean, that's pretty braggy of Taryn Edgerton. Like, I wonder what context he had the opportunity to say that.
I'm sure it was like, okay, you made Rocket Man. What's the best thing that's come out of it for you?
Oh yeah, okay, all right. Now I understand.
Right?
Yeah. Sure.
Colin Firth is actually from the Kingsman.
I was thinking the same thing. Yeah.
Oh.
Is Taryn in the Kingsman as well?
Yes.
Oh, they're in a movie.
That's a more likely scenario. That's probably a more likely scenario. They were
true.
hanging out by the table where all the free food is. And Colin Firth was like, I've tasted better chicken than this. I have this chicken place I love. And he said, here, tell me your number. I'll text you the address.
Probably. And I guess a few things. One thing, it's not just called the table of free food. It's called craft services, Rebecca.
Oh, I'm sorry. I'm not in the Hollywood biz like you are, Owen.
Second, it's not free. There's a budget for every film, and that food gets bought. It's a cost something. Third, I guarantee that Colin gave Taryn a fake number.
This is a really touchy subject for you.
Yeah, because Colin pulled that crap on me. He gave me a fake number. And then I texted him and he said, new phone, who dis? What now?
It's free for the talent. The food on craft services, it's free for the talent.
Yeah, that's what I meant. I mean, I know food costs something. I think it just showed up for
okay, so let's go ahead and get started. We can, if you guys want, thank you guys so much for being here. We're going to talk a little bit about who we're raising money for, a little bit of the Writers League of Texas, and then we're going to get started with you guys. So I'm going to let the writers, if you guys want to, you can disappear from the video screen and be in your world and watch. And then Becca, let's you and I talk a little bit about the Writers League of Texas.
Little mano a mano. Did you see that from YouTube? Somebody mentioned that last month. A great quote from you, Owen, is "Coffee makes me poop."
Did I say that?
Yeah, you did.
Really? Doesn't sound like. I don't usually talk about bodily functions. It's just a little awkward.
Yeah. You said it. For sure.
Okay, well, there we go. All right, so I thank you for using Owen Egerton's quote there. So, hey, tell us a little bit about what the Writers League of Texas is doing, because this is a big month. You guys have been keeping busy.
Yeah, so we're just about to kick off our summer writing retreat, which is usually in person. Usually somewhere like this year, we would have gone back to Kerrville for a week and done classes and had great evening events. And instead, we're doing a month-long virtual summer writing retreat. So we start next week. We have 3 classes by great instructors, Charlotte Gullick, Donna M. Johnson, and Irene Lara Silva. And yeah, we're gonna have evening events and all sorts of fun. And I think there's some folks even on this evening watching us who are gonna be participating in the summer writing retreat, because we thought this could be a sort of informal, fun kickoff night. But that's what we're up to. We're always on Zoom doing something. So you can find us at our website, writersleague.org. And then, big thanks to Owen for hosting this event. This is your event, Owen. I mean, the brilliant idea of the One Page Salon came from you, and you've been hosting it for how many years now? 5 years?
5 or 6 years, yeah.
Yeah. But we've been lucky enough a couple of times for the in-person event to host with you, and you were kind enough to say that we could do this with you virtually as well, which has turned out to be a really fun experience. I mean, I think there's a lot of Zoom fatigue out there, but I find that these events feel unlike most of the Zoom events that I participate in. So it's kind of lovely to be here. And then we also wanted to do something with this event that would be impactful for the literary world in whatever way we could come up with each month, meaning we wanted to designate a different entity related to publishing or books or writers that would receive funds from all of the generous folks who are watching who have made contributions. When those of you who RSVP'd with a donation, we were able to raise $300 for people of color in publishing. This is an organization that was started by actually a former Writers League of Texas intern, Patrice Caldwell, who is also a literary agent and was an editor in publishing. And it's just a really, I think, important piece of a lot of what we've been talking about lately, that, we need diverse books, but we also need diversity at the editorial tables and the sales meetings and the publicity teams of publishing. So this organization really does what they can to support all diversity, people of color in publishing. And I think it's wonderful that we're going to be able to give them a little bit more money to be able to continue doing that. So thank you to everyone for your support.
That is great. Thank you. I love that. And thank you guys so much for donating to that, and just for being here too. It's a Saturday night, and when Rebecca and I were talking about different ways of doing this, she was like, it'd be fun if people do want to sort of like, maybe pour themselves a cocktail or a mocktail, maybe put on like a tie. Owen, do you have a tie? And then and just sort of be out here and kind of. I poured myself a nice glass of boxed wine. Oh yeah, and just sort of be a chance to celebrate a little bit. That's been on my mind a lot. One of the things we do at One Page Salon is we often start out the evening with a page read by someone who could not be there that night. Tonight, what I was going to read is one page from the writer Charles Bowden. Now, I don't know if you guys know who Charles Bowden is. I got to confess that I did not until I guess it was February. And then I was at Lark and Owl bookstore, and which is a bookstore I love up in Georgetown. And I found that they had Charles Bowden. Now, Charles Bowden was a brilliant writer, and he wrote a lot about, as a journalist, he wrote a lot about issues on the border here in Texas and in New Mexico. He wrote a lot about the environment and the necessity to take action in order to preserve the environment. And he wrote a lot about just sort of the pain of being alive in really drastic terms. And basically he was described in some ways as being like having this wild, prophetic kind of voice. University of Texas has recently republished several of his books and are currently publishing 3 of his books that were not published in his lifetime. But I recommend Charles Bowden. I'm going to read just an opening page from his book, Some of the Dead Are Still Breathing, Living in the Future. And this is from an essay of his called Red. I see red. The colors flash across the gray light as the black coffee wafts across my face. The dark comforts me, and so I rise before first light. The moonless nights are best because in the blackness, even the trees lack form. Shapes slowly enter the yard. The stone body of St. Francis, big clump of vine stroking the mesquite. Everything gray at first. The first licks of color, a tint of green, a blush of rose come and go. I've read for years about photons of light and the structure of our eyes and how our cells and structures the eyes form color. Other species see a different world. I understand none of this. Since I waddled in diapers, I have marveled at color creeping into the land at gray light and then slowly drenching everything in my gaze. At gray light, I always believe, but I cannot clearly tell myself what this belief is. But with that first cup of coffee, I am always a yes man. And this feeling can continue past the midnight hour. Charles Bowden from Some of the Dead Are Still Breathing. This is part of a trilogy of his, the other ones being Blood Orchid, and Blues for Cannibals. Check him out. Amazing writer whose voice, I think, really rings for our current time. Are you guys, and I agree, Rebecca, yay for Lark and Owl, man. Goodness gracious. I just bought some books from them this week. And I love that we can be supporting our favorite bookstores right now, even if we can't necessarily be going inside our favorite bookstores. Do that. I'm a big believer that we need those temples to the word scattered throughout our cities. And we want them open when we're going back out again. We want them to be there, trust me. So buy from them now, okay? Do it. All right, are you guys ready for your first reader of the night? Okay, I can hear you. Yes, I can. Yes, I know you're out there. Okay, so I'm so excited about our first reader. She's already here. She is an incredible writer. Oh, look, there's her description and everything like that. Born in Singapore, raised in Wyoming, not Wisconsin, which I wrote online just as a typo. Incredible writer. Cowboys and East Indians is her award-winning book, including winning a PEN Open Book Award. She's been published in the New York Times and Virginia Quarterly Review, American Short Fiction, all over the place. She teaches at the University of Wyoming, but she's been the Walter Jackson Bate Fellow at Radcliffe Institute for Advanced Study at Harvard. And I don't know, Nina, are you in Harvard? Where are you?
We came back to Wyoming. Yeah, came back to the fellowship closed when Harvard closed this spring.
That's what, yeah, okay. So Nina McConaughey, ladies and gentlemen. Oh, well, Nina, I'm really glad that you're here and that you're back in Wyoming. That's nice. And how's things going? How's life treating you?
It's good. I had a baby during this pandemic, which has been not fun at all, because I had this vision that maternity leave was going to be like going to mommy and me yoga classes and coffee shops and all these things. And I mostly just sit at home and no one's held my baby.
Yeah. Oh my gosh, I hear that. We had a friend who just had a baby just today. And
wow.
yeah. And is experiencing all that. But I did hear, honest to God, a friend of ours who's a midwife was just sort of talking about her belief that babies born during this time are just kind of special. There's just something wildly important and beautiful about them. So
I hope so. It has been really strange to just have friends. Nobody can hold her. It's just, I'm worried that she's not going to like people's faces when she starts to actually see people. But, you know, but in another way, I think if you're going to be in isolation, having a baby is kind of a good thing to do. You're just kind of hanging out anyway, watching bad TV and, feeding her. That's it.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, when we first had our kid, that's a lot what I was doing anyway. I was,
right. So that's, in some ways I'm like, maybe it isn't that different. I don't know. But it's been actually really lovely to have this like new life in the midst of a lot of other, I don't know, sadness in the world, I think.
Yeah. Oh, well, congratulations on that.
Thank you. It's been great.
As you know, for one page, you have 3 questions that you have to answer.
Yeah.
You knew this, right? Yeah, the 3 questions.
I remember it, but I forgot this a little bit. Okay, yeah.
Okay, yeah. Because when was it that you did one page?
I think it was like 2016, so it was 4 years ago.
2016, yeah, that was a different time.
On the same novel 4 years later.
I tell you what, Nina, I've been reading about Les Mis and how Victor Hugo wrote Les Mis, and it took I think 17 years to write that book.
Many more to go. Great. Yeah. That's good, actually.
Yeah. He was also banished, I think, 3 times in the process and had to fight, and and there was revolutions and French, all that during the time. But still, you've got a baby in a pandemic.
Yeah, I mean, I still, maybe they'll have a revolution in November or something.
Yes, indeed. All right, so Nina, here are my 3 questions. Okay. First one, this is a kind of a crazy, it's a awful question to ask someone with a new kid, a new parent, but what has been your favorite book that you've read over the last 6 months? So in this sort of time of lockdown and everything, what has been your favorite book? It doesn't necessarily mean that it came out, but the book you're like, my gosh, I wanted that book.
Yes, I would say it is this board book called Moo Ba La La La. And it is a classic tale of a bunch of animals that dance around a barn. And I have really perfected my oinking and my cow noises. And it has been a hit with my baby. And I have read it hundreds of times in the last months. No, that's a sassy answer, but
that's a good answer.
I've read a lot of that, and Barnyard Dance is the other classic that I have read a lot of.
Yeah. You're just setting up your kid to be like, I was loving George Orwell, Animal Farm way before I could read.
Yeah. I mean, the books they're catchy, I have to say, and I have to say I wasn't great at doing animal noises before the pandemic. I have been really working on quack and moo, and there.
Give us a quack.
Quack. Moo.
That second quack wasn't as good.
I know. I've lost some enthusiasm as the day goes on. My enthusiasm for reading is a little low. My husband's very good too, I have to say.
That sounded great. Oh, I love that. I mean, is there another book? Because that's a great answer. We can go with that answer.
I've been reading a lot of food writing over the last few months. I don't know why. Maybe because I can't go to restaurants. So I've been reading MFK Fisher's The Art of Eating.
Yeah.
And that has been, again, I'm also in Wyoming, so my choices for eating out are a little low anyway. But so that has been, I've been reading about oysters and just that has been very enjoyable to me. I don't know, I've never been a reader of food writing, but I really have loved that book.
Huh. That's super cool. Yeah. All right. Next question. This is a question I've sort of been thinking about, like, that I realize that the way I read, the way like I approach, like, I don't read one book at a time.
Right.
Like, and read all the way through. I kind of wish I did, but I don't. So I have a sort of specific, like, books are scattered and then different places around the house and different things. I was wondering, what is your reading life like? Like, how do you read?
Well, right now, again, everything is centered on the baby. My baby was a preemie, so I am pumping. And so I feel like the 7 times a day that I pump, I read, and it's like my one quiet time where I don't have the baby, and it's kind of nice. So I've been reading a lot. I actually also have been listening to audiobooks, which I never ever did up until but again, like sometimes I'm holding the baby and I'm just rocking her, and it's been really nice to just listen to books, and that has also been kind of wonderful. So I feel like my reading life has actually changed a lot, because I'm reading at like 3 a.m. or 5 a.m, and then also just when she's sleeping, it's just so much easier to put headphones in and listen.
Oh yeah, I'm with you. I love audiobooks.
Yeah, I never was into them till now, and I'm like pretty into it now.
Yeah, yeah. Okay, last question for you. This is a kind of an interesting question too. You're kind of the first one, so who knows? Maybe this question turns out to be a bad question and no one else will get it. But what are you currently or recently celebrating?
Celebrating. I guess back to school. I mean, maybe that doesn't, maybe celebrating is the wrong word. I'm going to be teaching online, so yeah, I guess that. But also, wait, no, actually, no, I have a better one.
Oh.
A few days ago was my husband and I had our Tinderversary of when I swiped right on him on Tinder, and now we're married. So we celebrated the swiping the other day.
Like, does Tinder tell you like this is your Tinderversary?
No, I just remembered it was the last day of July. So it was always funny. Like I was the end of the month and I was bored and I had some friends over and I swiped on him. So yeah, so 4 years ago we had our Tinderversary. So yeah.
Well, it comes to mind that if Tinder were telling you, that would mean you still had Tinder. Which
yeah, exactly.
Probably.
I did delete it. I deleted it a while after we met, I guess. No.
Well, congratulations on your Tinderversary.
Yeah,
that is wonderful. So Nina, what are you going to be reading to us today?
So I'm just finishing my novel, and it's called The Call of Migratory Things, and yeah, so I'm just going to read a page from the novel, and I don't think you need much setup at all. The only thing I think you need to know is the main gist of the novel is that 2 teenage girls commit a murder, and one of them's name is Agatha Krishna, which because in a nod to, I love Agatha Christie books, so a little bit of nod, though it's not a whodunit. These girls commit the murder pretty early in the book.
Thank God we know, because you would have just ruined the book.
Ruined it otherwise. Yeah, it's more, yeah, it's not really a whodunit. And I guess the only thing you need to know is in the beginning of this chapter, the narrator has seen that her childhood home where they committed the murder is up for sale as an adult. So she's sort of seeing that the house is for sale.
Cool.
And I think that's all you need to know. It's so short, 1 page. So here we go.
Oh, all right, that's fine. Ladies and gentlemen, without further ado, in your houses, go ahead and rattle yourself. Rattle your joy, shake your hands, clap, make noise as we have our first reader of today's Page Salon, Nina McConaughey. Thanks, Nina.
Thank you. Okay, so this is from the novel The Call of Migratory Things. It was by accident that I saw that Cottonwood Cross was for sale. Brianna Salk was an acquaintance, someone I knew from high school, but as an adult could not conjure her face. Her name brought to mind several girls I had gone to school with, all white, all with bangs curled and sprayed like rising waves on their forehead, all with oversized jean jackets and Esprit bags bulging with books. The house was listed on in her Facebook feed. While I was scrolling through recipes and political rants, I saw not the logo of her employer, Home Hunters Realtors, but the familiar group of trees that framed the perimeter of the house. And peeking out through the leaves, the brick facade of the porch. The yard was long and unkept, and a pine tree that used to be near the gate was gone. The house originally had no name. It was my mother who named it Cottonwood Cross, who began its recorded history. The house had 2 owners before us, an oil worker and then an insurance agent. My sister and I found a box of free notepads with his logo emblazoned on them. We used them over the years, never knowing Eugene Johnson and how he could fix your insurance needs. We lived in a kind of cul-de-sac, and all the houses were ranch houses. They had a squat, cowering look to them. The only thing that marked height were the cottonwoods that ringed each of the lawns. At the corner of the cul-de-sac was the largest cottonwood tree. Angel Moore, who did not live on our street, but seemed to always be at her aunt's house, told us earlier that they had hung Indians from that tree, back when the land was a cattle ranch. Months later, before we killed my uncle, all the neighborhood children spent the summer playing hangings. We hanged my cousin and most of the Mitchell children with a clothesline regularly off a low branch. Agatha Krishna had been the one to kick the stool out from under them. I think she wanted to practice killing to see if we had the grit, and already I balked. I hung back while she and Angel paraded whomever to our noose, all their crimes recorded on a Eugene Johnson notepad. Nick grinned like an idiot. He wore a hat fashioned out of the peacock feathers we had stolen. Of course, the rope was long and there was no actual hanging, but I knew by Angel and Agatha Krishna's expressions that they had not one edge of remorse. Angel recited the Lord's Prayer and then spoke in tongues, which she had learned when her family had lived in Missouri in a Bible camp, which my mom said was a cult. Months before, her whole family had come back limply next door to her aunt's. I knew she was back when I heard the shrill call of her gibberish intermixed with the sound of chickadees.
Oh, that is good. Oh my gosh. Geez. How early do you say that happens in the book?
It's pretty early. It's like chapter 2. So that comes up. So
okay. So you're saying you're close to it. Like how soon? When do we get to read the book?
Well, I'm up for tenure this year, so I have to finish the book. So, but I feel like I'm gonna need someone to pry it out of my cold hands. I don't know. It's really hard to say when I've never written a novel, so it's very hard to say when it's done, but I do have a full draft, so I need to just let it go.
Yeah.
But haven't quite got there yet.
Yeah. I mean, they have that old saying that like books are never finished, they're abandoned.
Yeah.
And they say that about film as well. Like you just, what do you do? It gets kind of taken away from you at some point.
Yeah, I think I'm gonna have to, but I think tenure is gonna be the thing that's gonna scare me because I do need to finish it for that.
Yeah. Well, I can't wait. I'm already like, oh my gosh, I can't wait to read this book. I'm already excited. One of the things, by the way, that we do, Nina, is for every one page, if you remember, we name the one page. So the August 1st, 2020 One Page Salon, I just sort of grabbed something that you said in your reading and sort of condense it into what might be a title. I kind of had 2 that may be in the final running because we'll vote at the very end. I'm going to let you decide which of these 2 would make a better possible title for One Page Salon. One is Bulging with Books. Kind of like that. There's something kind of erotic about it. The other one was Killed My Uncle. Because I just like, wow. When that just sort of happened, like, oh, wow. That just, so which do you think? Which would be the title we should throw out?
Gosh, those are both good. I think Killed My Uncle.
Okay. I thought you might go for there, but it's like, yeah. Killed My Uncle.
So Bulging with Books, I do look back on junior high and think Esprit tote bags were not the most ergonomic sort of school book bag possible, but yet they were so popular.
They were so popular. Who understands the things I did in middle school? Okay, thank you so much, Nina McGonigal. I appreciate you being here so much, and congratulations on your new baby too.
Thank you. Oh, and I miss seeing you live. You're the best. So I come back to Austin.
Hopefully soon. Yeah. Bye, Nina.
Bye.
All right. So that was our first reader of the night, and we're moving on to our second reader of the night. Now that I see my space, my gosh, it's kind of a terrifying back there. I got the Halloween 4 though. It looks great. I got to say, every time I'm on a Zoom call, I can see my Halloween 4 poster, and it brings me great joy. It brings me great joy. I also, you might not know this, but I have the Warriors. I don't know if you guys are fans of the Warriors, but Michael Beck signed this for me from the Warriors, which is pretty cool. He was in town for Xanadu, but I didn't have a Xanadu picture at the time. Anyway, that's exciting things from the back of my shed. All right, let's go into our next reader. Our next reader was the winner of the One-Page Salon. The One-Page Salon. Oh, someone says they see Manuel's book. Yes, I do have Manuel Gonzalez's book, and there's Nina's book as well. Yeah. So our next reader, she was the lottery winner at the last One-Page Salon. Basically, she put her name into a virtual bowl, and we pulled it out, and she's been willing to read for us tonight. I'm so excited that she's here. Rachel Barchus. She's been for 20 years working in higher education communications and nonprofit writing. She's a personal essayist, and there was a phrase that was attributed to you, Rachel, that I loved so much, that says that you make facts dance. Oh, here we go. Here's your. Yes. But I love that you make facts dance. Before we get into your 3 questions, oh wow, we just saw all of Becca Oliver's emails just there. I think that was an exciting little moment there.
I don't know.
Yeah, see into her personal life. So yeah, tell me about that. Tell me about that phrase that you make facts dance, Rachel.
So I have a blog on WordPress.com called Literary Facts. And so I kind of see myself as a literary journalist, kind of a fact choreographer, word choreographer. Yeah. And that's where that phrase came from.
I love that.
Thank you.
I love that. I also appreciate, Rachel, that in the same way that I have a reference to Halloween behind me, you have a very small pumpkin behind you.
Yes, it's a special velvet pumpkin.
The velvet pumpkin.
I keep it year round.
Yeah, Velvet Pumpkin was my favorite children's story. So dreamed of being a real pumpkin someday.
Yeah, actually, yeah. Oops.
Oh, there you are.
Oh, okay.
There we go. Oh yeah, there's a phrase right there. Make facts dance. Fantastic. Okay, so are you ready for your 3 questions?
Sure.
Cool.
Shoot.
Sure. Okay, first, what has been your favorite book of this lockdown, this pandemic, for this chunk of 2020?
Well, I read the novel The Dutch House.
Oh.
And I enjoyed that a lot. I'm kind of, you'll see from my reading that finding home is kind of a big theme with me. Mm-hmm. But I'll be honest, what I really, really enjoyed, I'm going to admit this, is I bought the El Arroyo's Mini Book of Signs, Volume 1, and it is hilarious. Oh, yeah? And I highly recommend it. They've compiled all the El Arroyo's signs into one little book, and it just gives me a lift that I need.
That is great. I've seen that. I know that that's available. Oh, that's so fun.
I picked it up at HEB. I highly recommend it. It's Volume 1, so apparently they're going to come out with a Volume 2.
So for those folks who don't live in Austin, El Arroyo is this restaurant, a Mexican restaurant here in Austin, Texas. And for decades, there we go. They have a sign out front that they've been putting just one-liners and jokes and moments of levity. They've been doing it for a long time. That's pretty great. Okay, so the next question, how do you read? What is your reading practice?
Unlike you, I tend to read one book at a time. I like to just focus on the book, but I do toggle back and forth as far as if it's a print book or if it's on Kindle. I kind of like to shake that up for some reason. Yeah, but yeah, I have a comfy chair here, and I like to turn on the ceiling fan and get my favorite blankie and read.
I feel that's how I would like to do it, but I've got 2 books on audio. I've got 3 books that and I get so slow. Like it takes so long for me to finish a book. It's like if I had like all the meals for a day on the table at the same time, and I just sort of nibbled at each.
Oh, like a buffet, huh?
Oh yeah, that's a good description. Yes, exactly. It's like a buffet. Yeah, but it's like without a sneeze guard. You know, it's like it's a messy buffet. It's not a good one. That's yeah. Okay, last question then. What are you currently or recently are you celebrating?
Well, in May, my first and only grandson turned 1 year old.
Oh.
So that's a big deal.
Yeah.
It's been very challenging. Like Nina said, with the pandemic, I'm not able to see him. So it's been basically FaceTiming or little videos or, that kind of thing. So
Yeah.
I can't wait for the pandemic to be over so I can actually like give him a big old hug.
Yeah.
As far as personally, I guess it sounds kind of strange, but I've rediscovered swimming. I love to swim, and I highly recommend it to those who are looking to do something outdoors to give them not only physical exercise, but a good little mental health boost. Yeah.
Yes. Oh, I'm all for that. I've been waking up like really early, like dawn, and like sneak into a creek and swimming around, and or into neighbors' yards and they don't know I'm there. Swim in their backyard in their pool, and then I leave them a little breakfast bagel.
That's nice. I just swim in the pool in my apartment complex.
Oh, well, that's true. I don't really swim in neighbors. Well,
Okay.
I can't admit to that, at least. Okay, so I mean, those are beautiful answers. And now I'm wondering, so you won the lottery. I guess it was 2 months back because we didn't do one last month.
Right.
So what are you going to be reading to us, Rachel?
So I write personal essays, and so I wrote one recently about a major life upheaval. And I don't really want to say much more. I don't think it needs a lot of setup. It's going to be pretty obvious by the end what I'm talking about.
Okay, well, that's so great. So, ladies and gentlemen out there all over, we're diving into the pool, which is Rachel Barchus. We are swimming, we're free, we're skinny dipping in this literary mastermind here. So everyone flap and slap and get in there into the water and give it up for Rachel Barchus.
Thank you very much. So this piece is called Gospel Word of the Day. W. This is today's word, my gospel. I was going to run away to Florida to clear my muddled mind over the long Labor Day weekend, but Hurricane Dorian had different plans for me. I reluctantly canceled my flight, but thought, I can't accept this. So I pivoted, threw my suitcase in the car, and drove 3 hours on I-10 to Houston, downtown H-Town. My childhood hometown, returning to my roots as a wild flower child. My happiest years before I uprooted and firmly planted myself in a 34-year marriage. Opening the curtains to my 17th floor hotel window on a Sunday early morning, I peer down upon Christ Church Cathedral, Episcopalian Diocese of Texas since 1839. All I know about Episcopalians versus Catholics is that their priests are allowed to marry and they don't recognize the Pope as divine. A trumpet in D major welcomes me inside the cathedral for Holy Eucharist Rite 2, boasting a tall apex ceiling of thick, dark carved ornate wood and floor-to-ceiling stained glass windows on both sides, backlit by the rising sun. The service progresses from hymn to collect for purity, to Gloria in Excelsis, to Collect of the Day, to first reading of the Old Testament, Jeremiah. I don't know what it is about the OT, but mostly what I hear is fear and retribution. Defiled my land, made my heritage an abomination, accuse your children's children, be utterly desolate. Hardly uplifting. I tend to tune it out. Next comes the Holy Gospel, Hebrews. Now some of these words perk up my ears. Let marriage be held in honor by all, and let the marriage bed be kept undefiled, for God will judge adulterers. My soon-to-be ex might be in a tad of trouble, spiritually speaking. The sermon that follows is delivered by an African-American French priest, Simone, relying on the Gospel of Luke. He speaks words in a heavy accent that I hear loud and clear. Do not invite people to dinner just so you will be repaid. Instead, invite those who can't repay you, and you will be repaid at the resurrection of the righteous. I hold my own gospel belief. You might screw me here on earth, but up in the heavens, you will answer. Not sure Simone would totally approve, but it's gotten me through a lot of not so righteous moments in my life. After the Nicene Creed, prayers of the people, general confession, the peace and offertory, comes the Holy Communion. the great Thanksgiving, Sanctus and Benedictus, Eucharistic prayer, and breaking of the bread. Now here's the thing. I wasn't going to take Holy Communion, but the priest says all baptized are welcome to the table. And those of us who don't want to take communion, all we have to do is cross our arms in the shape of a W on our chest, but still receive a blessing. Sinner that I am, I'm not baptized. I just can't resist. I walk up to the altar, kneel, cross my arms, and utter the following silent prayer, warrior forever, as the priest blesses me. I walk back down the aisle, take my seat in the rear pew, and listen to the anthem, prayer after communion, blessing dismissal, and closing prelude. 8 weeks ago, I had thrown the Wakanda Forever warrior salute across my defeated heart to give me courage to drive my loaded RAV4 out of the community I had called home, out of the arms of the man I had called husband, out of a 34-year relationship I had called marriage. I step out into the daylight of the gritty city street, wondering where my next home lies. I shape 3 fingers into a W and gently tap them on my chest.
All right. Wow, Rachel. That was beautiful.
Thank you.
Oh man, that was really great.
Appreciate it.
That's part of that. That seems like a complete essay. Is it a complete essay or is it part of an essay?
Actually, so it's a standalone piece, but I'm in the process of actually going through all these standalone pieces, and I'm considering compiling them into a memoir.
Oh,
and this would be one I would include. Yeah.
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 Oh man. Well, I hope you do that because I would love to read that book.
Thank you. Appreciate it.
All right, ladies and gentlemen, give it up for Rachel Barchus. I'm snapping. I'll be snapping here. Okay, so we're moving on to our next reader now. Oh, by the way, I think for the possible title, I'm going to choose "You Will Answer." You Will Answer is going to be the possible title. Thank you, Rachel. Thank you for being here.
Yeah, thank you for having me. I appreciate it.
Sure, for sure. Looking forward to swimming. At the end of this pandemic, we'll all be swimming together. We'll all be at Barton Springs.
There you go.
Yeah.
Social distancing.
Yeah. All right. So our next reader, very excited to have this next reader with us. Chen Chen is the author of When I Grow Up, and I want to be when I grow up, I want to be a list of further possibilities. Which is, I think we're going. There we go. Which was longlisted for the National Book Award and won the Thom Gunn Award. He's written all kinds of beautiful books. He's received a Pushcart Prize and all kinds of other different awards. He also has an MFA and a PhD, and he is also a teacher. And is also every person I know who knows him is inspired by him. Please give it up for Chen Chen. Let's see. Oh, I think, see if we can get Chen. Maybe we need a minute then. Maybe Chen Chen needs a minute. I'm sure we'll find out. Oh no, there we go. Hi, Chen. How are you? Oh, I think you might be on mute.
Hello.
Hi, how are you?
We're good now. Yeah, I'm all right. Just kind of tired.
I hear you. I hear you.
I've been just having some tea and trying to be like conscious. So
and it's later, right? You're an hour later than we are.
It's an hour later.
Yeah.
And usually, I mean, I'm a night person a lot of the time, but sometimes that doesn't kick in until like 11. So I'll get my second wind eventually.
Okay. Do you want to? Should I zoom back at 11? Without...
I mean, that'd be wonderful, but since we're already here.
Okay. Well, we'll just move ahead.
Yeah. We'll dive in.
You know, Chen, I was talking to a poet friend of mine, Sean Petrie, and he's a novelist and a poet, and he actually does a thing called Typewriter Rodeo, where my wife and some other people, they write poems, spontaneous poems on typewriters. On vintage typewriters at events and things like that. And it's really wonderful, but he also teaches poetry. And when I mentioned that you were doing this Page Salon, he was just sort of talking about how he loves using your poetry to teach. He was like, oh, I just love it. It's just such a great introduction into putting your emotions and finding a cool way in. to an emotion or a cool way in to a situation. So you've got some fans out there. You probably knew that.
Oh, that's so nice. Yeah, tell him thank you for me.
I will. I think he's actually watching. I think he might be in the Zoom room as well.
Thank you. That's incredible.
Well, let's see. Are you ready, Chen? Are you ready for your 3 questions?
Sure.
Okay. Great. Well, first question is, what has been your favorite book during this whole lockdown weirdness of the last 6 months?
So I've prepared some props. This is
Oh.
kind of like show and tell.
Yeah.
For each of these questions, actually. So for this first one, because the cover is just so gorgeous too. So yeah, this book, Tiny Moons, A Year of Eating in Shanghai, by Nina Mingya Powells, who's a writer who I got to meet last year, actually, first in London, where she's currently based. And then I actually saw her again when I went to New Zealand, because that's where she's from. And this book is just so beautiful. It's like a mini memoir, and there are also illustrations. Let me see if I can just show you briefly.
Oh, wow.
So there are also illustrations of like all the food that she talks about. So it's really tantalizing, sometimes frustratingly so. Like I had to put the book down at certain points because reading it during pandemic, I just realized how much I missed traveling and trying other foods and getting to have these wonderful meals with fellow writers. Really missed that. So this book both it like sort of cheered me up because it allowed me to go to these places, imagine them, and I've been to Shanghai too, but also made me kind of sad because it's just not possible right now. But yeah, it's beautifully written, and each chapter focuses on a different season.
Yeah.
And goes into like the seasonality of the food, the dishes, the ingredients. Yeah.
Wow. And tell me the name. It's show me the book again.
It's called Tiny Moons.
Wow, that's fantastic. And it was written by
Nina Mingya Powells.
Oh, great. Okay, fantastic.
Yeah.
That sounds pretty wonderful. Okay, next, what is your reading process like? How do you read? What is your reading life like?
I was thinking a lot about this. I have mainly been reading student work because I teach a lot. I'd say too much. I really enjoy reading and thinking and commenting on student work. It's super rewarding, and to be able to see a poem grow or a body of work grow is incredible. But I've been finding that after doing that, I just really can't read other things. Reading for pleasure has sort of gone down. But yeah, so this is really for Sam. So this is my second prop. So Sam Wein is in the YouTube chat and watching this. We were just texting. And I just remembered that I have this, which is some vintage gay pornography.
Can we let's just go ahead. Becca, if you can hear me, can we go bigger on the pictures here of me and Chen? Can we take?
You want to enlarge?
I want to see. this. Oh, okay. There we go.
Yeah. So I mean that's just the back cover. So it's tamer. But I got this in Chicago, actually, when I was visiting my friend Sam there, who's also a poet. And it was at this, I think it was like a gay library sale or like archive sale. They just had all these books and magazines, and this was one of them. So that's fun to read.
Yeah.
When my brain is fried.
Yeah. It's different than what Nina is reading to her baby.
Yeah.
Right. It's funny how
there's a whole spectrum, of literature. So
yes.
there's something for everyone.
Becca Oliver is asking, are you reading it for the articles?
I mean, there's some lovely interviews. And yeah, some steamy stories as well. Yeah, in between. You know, if you need a rest from the pictures. Yeah.
Okay, so the last question is oh, but we were talking. Is that so? That would be like your reading. Then basically, is like you're mainly saying that student reading and reading that way, which you love, does sort of like in some way then.
It kind of takes over.
Yeah. Okay,
Yeah.
that's really interesting. I have a lot of friends, of course, writers who teach as well, and they have like the different things of like, oh, it's more difficult for me to write during the school year and during the school semesters and everything like that. But I hadn't actually thought about how it impacts their reading in that way. That's really interesting.
Yeah, I find that I can still write usually, although the typewriter thing that you mentioned earlier kind of freaks me out. I mean, I love typewriters, but having to spontaneously compose a poem for someone, yeah, it's not for me, not my jam.
You know, it is a skill. Like Sean and Jody, they have a beautiful book. It's a skill that they have, and I see them do it, and I'm so impressed. It wows me every time. Yeah. Okay, so the last question is, what are you currently or recently celebrating?
So my friend Muriel Young, who's also a poet, she's based in the Bay Area. I was just talking about not feeling great during these times. And she sent me this really wonderful letter and this candle and also this sticker. So this is my last prop. So I just decided where to put this sticker finally. So it's a Sailor Moon sticker and the caption is Sailor Moon says, "Fuck racist police." I just think it's really beautiful. And this notebook is from, I'm a former teacher. So it's just like, yeah, combining some things that bring me joy at the moment. Yeah.
I love that. It's, you know, I don't really think too much about why I ask these questions and why I write them down, but I usually find out that even the silly questions, I'm like, oh, I'm kind of thinking about these things. Now, this is sort of what's bubbling up in my head. And it is that sort of like, oh gosh, we need to celebrate. It's like this sort of like desire of like, we should, you know, there's a feeling that the days are going by and they're repeating themselves. We're in this sort of Groundhog's Day or Palm Springs loop. And then the celebration is a sort of this beautiful way of kind of marking a moment or marking a day or even marking a notebook and saying, hey, you know what? This is something that brings me joy or says something that rings true. And like, I think a sticker on a notebook like is a great way of doing that.
Love a good sticker.
Yeah, I do too. Well, what are you going to read to us tonight?
So I'm actually going to read some prose. Yeah, I feel kind of funny about it myself.
Yeah.
So this is actually from a craft essay. And I've been working on this series of craft essays for poets and writers. And they're overdue. I really just need to, speaking of letting go, I just need to turn them in. But yeah, I mean, I love reading essays, nonfiction, but I just, find it hard to write. So this is the first time that I'm reading from this out loud. So we'll see how it goes. So I'm just reading like some really short sections from this, and I'll just say what the numbers are. Okay. So the title is On Secrets, Takeshi Kaneshiro, and Becoming a Pop Star, I Mean a Poet.
Oh, okay, well, then I'm gonna just go ahead and introduce you. Ladies and gentlemen, wherever you are, I know you think maybe your children are sleeping and you can't do it, and your neighbors are gonna wonder what you're doing, but we are in a room together. Feel it, feel the energy. Ladies and gentlemen, give it up for Chen Chen. Yes. Thank you, Chen.
I think all you really need to know for this is Takeshi Kaneshiro is a very handsome actor. 1. I started to write poetry because of a secret that I had trouble sharing even with myself. 2. I continue to write poetry because in the 5th grade, a short story about a pregnant witch living in Venice received the following peer critique. You do know it takes 9 months for the baby to grow inside the mom, not 2. I write poetry because I wish I'd responded, you do know this is a witch baby. 4. I wake up craving poetry because Sawako Nakayasu once said, I work mostly in poetry because it claims to be neither fiction nor nonfiction, because it acknowledges the gap between what really was or is and what is said about it. 5. Poetry because French class, Russian class, because Mandarin and English and Hokkien at home, because English. Because I learn and learn, then forget so much Mandarin, because I forgot all my Hokkien by age 7. Poetry because my first year advisor in college, a professor of Russian studies, asked me why all my 3-page Tolstoy responses were so late. Go on, she said, give us your narrative. Poems because I loved how her prompt was a comment on the expected form of my response. Poet because I said time management's an issue, which really meant I wanted every paper to be about everything. And I wanted Takashi Kanashiro's character in Chungking Express, and I wanted Takeshi Kanashiro, and was rewatching the film over and over and Googling stills. 8. The violence of the state. The silence of the H in French words like how violent many homes. To ask, where is home? As if it's ever a simple question. To say I have a home, as if it's an unremarkable statement. In Russian, to say I have, you use a genitive construction that translates to the awkward English, at me there is. At home, there were questions in 3 different languages. None asked whether I would ever start hating myself for what and whom I loved. 9. I continue to read poetry because it seems every poem has a big secret at its core, and I always want to know if it's a big gay secret. Because Anna Akhmatova wrote, sunset and the ethereal waves, I cannot tell if the day is ending or the world, or if the secret of secrets is inside me again. And that seems pretty gay to me. Because Denise Levertov wrote, 2 girls discover the secret of life in a sudden line of poetry. And that sounds definitely gay. Because for years I had to settle for subtext and total projection. Because when I found Justin Chin's Bite Hard in a college library, I immediately added it to my stack of books to check out. Because I moved it to the middle of the stack, as though hiding it from both the sky and the ground. Because it moved me so much to find him. 10. In English, I still have trouble with lie versus lay, which I always feel ashamed to admit, though I know English is a troublesome, troubling language that makes one want to lie down, to lie one's body on its side till all one's lies have tumbled out from one's head and belly and are lain out like one single shadow body of a liar on the grass. 11. I started off as a fiction writer. 12. I started as a reader of fantastical literature, a writer of both fantasy and sci-fi. I started on the playground telling friends that the jungle gym was a spaceship and we better hurry on board before it takes off. Danny, you're new to the cause like me. Amanda, you're the chosen one, our only hope. I couldn't get enough of the galactic magic, any kind of epic mission, the dueling with lasers or wands journey. I acted them out, wrote them down. Moments of poetry occurred in my stories when I stayed too long in the pocket dimension of an emotion, when I strayed too far into the magic of an image, when I mismanaged the time and leapt through the wormhole/plot hole back to my implausible Venice. Poetry erupted when I couldn't keep performing the narrative I was supposed to, that of a boy who liked Amanda's, not Danny's. Thank you.
Chen, that was so brilliant. I love that. Thank you for that. So that's going into Poets and Writers, a magazine I really adore. Do you know what issue or like how far away that's going to be?
Well, I first have to turn them in, so yeah. Then we'll see. But hopefully, yeah, in the near future. Yeah.
Well, that was beautiful. Yeah, that hit me in all kinds of ways. So having to choose what would be a really cool title there was a bit difficult. I think there was a lot of great things, and I wrote down a bunch of different things, including just the word craving. I wrote learn, and then forget, which I just think is a lot about life in my head. But it might have to just be, this is a witch baby.
Yeah, you do know this is a witch baby.
Yeah, I think.
Should have known.
Yeah, I think a lot of I think a lot of writers who are watching this, and I think a lot of just people can agree with that sort of sentiment of like, hey, I put something really cool, strange, and beautiful before you, and someone goes, well, I don't know.
Doesn't make sense.
It doesn't work that way. Yeah. Well, Chen Chen, thank you so much for being with us, and have a great rest of your evening. And when 11 o'clock comes around, we'll
I'll
just
be
get back on here.
Yeah, I'll be
have
so ready. So much more ready. Yeah.
We'll have the after party.
Right. Yeah. Well, thank you. Thanks so much for having me.
Thank you, Chen Chen. Appreciate it. All right. We are moving on now to our next reader, the fourth for the evening. And I'm really excited. I hope you guys are having a good time out there. This is actually a wonderful opportunity. I'm so glad that we're able to do this for Writers League of Texas and support different groups. And it's just a really cool thing. But I quite honestly, for me, it is very encouraging, I guess would be the word, that there is a chance to kind of get together and just sort of like play and listen and share and just sort of like, I don't know, soak up poems, soak up stories, soak up memoirs, soak up memories. Just the idea, it comes to mind that maybe one of the things I'm looking when I think about what are we celebrating is celebrating that we're still sharing words and we're sharing narratives and that is still such a powerful, not just still, very much so now, maybe more than ever in my particular lifetime, such a necessity. We reach out to each other when we can't hold hands and hug, we can throw our stories and poems around each other. And my God, we need that right now. Okay, so our next reader, oh, she's there. I'm so excited to have Joanna Klink with us. She has got a brand new book of poetry, The Night Fields, which just came out last month. Just been coming out. She's got a bunch of different poems that she's read and been in anthologies. And I'm just very, very excited to have her. Joanna Klink. Yay! Hi, Joanna, how are you?
Hi, I'm good. How are you?
Good. Joanna, tell me, where in the world are you right now? Where do you live right now?
I'm living in Austin. I just moved here last fall, and before that I was living in Montana, so it's kind of an adjustment.
Yeah, it's a bit different. I knew that's what I thought. I was like, she just moved to Austin recently. Well, yeah. Welcome to Austin. And you know what we like to call Austin, the Montana of Central Texas. A lot of people. Right?
Yeah.
Yeah. It was going to be that live music capital of the world. Montana of Central Texas lost out, but it was a very close race there.
Well, you know, Missoula is now calling itself the Austin of the Rockies.
Is it really?
Yes.
Oh, well, I mean, Missoula kind of is the Austin. I mean, it's got kind of an Austin.
I think, no, they just want their music scene to kind of get up to speed, you know.
I mean, when I talk to people who live in Missoula, they're like, this is what I thought Austin was going to be. Like, you know, it feels like old Austin in some ways. Missoula's a very cool town.
That's true. It's just a little bit smaller and it's in the mountains. Yeah. And also there are no crazy bugs.
Yes.
Yeah.
Right. Did you ever go to that one water park in Missoula? You know, like kind of like a water amusement park.
I have been there, yeah.
It's got this really weird slide that we took our slides, and the slides is like, I think it's like a bear, but the bear gives birth to the children. The slide just goes right between the bear's legs, and it just looks like the bear is birthing babies.
I know. And the thing is, they like bears, you know, and when you go to the airport, there's a lot of taxidermy of bears, and there are pictures of bears on walls and things like that. So, you know, you kind of get used to, you almost don't even notice it when you live there, you know.
Did you carry around bear spray?
I didn't, but you know, when you hike, it's good to, you know, make noise.
Yeah, right. Yes. Yeah. Okay, well, Joanna, welcome to Austin. We are really thrilled to have you. And again, congratulations on the Night Fields.
Thank you.
Such a strange time, I know, to have a book coming out in the midst. I'm sure.
Yeah, it has been. Well, I mean, I feel lucky that it came out at all, because I know that publishing houses are struggling right now in general. So I'm just happy it exists.
Yeah, and you have an event coming up on the 12th. Is that right? The 12th of this month?
Yes. So I'm doing kind of a book launch. It's the last sequence. There's a long poetic sequence at the end of the book, which is 31 poems about the night sky. And so I've got 31 poets and writers who are all going to read from the last sequence, and that's on August 12th.
Oh my gosh. And how can people, if people want to be there for that or watch that, how can they do that?
You could go to my website, but also the best thing to do is go to the bookstore that's sponsoring it, which is Prairie Lights in Iowa City.
Yeah.
And Prairie Lights has a whole little thing about it. And it's my hometown bookstore, so I'm very fond of it.
That's great. All right, so Prairie Lights, you can go there, or it's joannaclink.com. Is that your right? Is that your website?
Yeah.
Okay, cool. Okay, so let's get to your three questions. First of all, what has been your favorite book during this whole last 6 months?
Well, I've been having a hard time reading, I think, just because of my like scattered attention with everything that's been going on. But I was reading Lucille Clifton's poems because I was thinking about whether or not I could teach them, because I've always loved her poems and I wasn't sure I'd be able to actually talk about them in any way that made sense, just because I love them so much. And that's been really grounding, because she's very direct, and she's really in her body, and I just that's been really helpful to me. But I also have been reading a short novella called Walking on the Ceiling, which is by a Turkish writer, and I'm not even sure how to pronounce her name. I think it's Ayşegül Savaş or Savats, and it's a beautiful short lyric kind of reverie, and I'd never even heard of her before, so that was also great. I kind of find right now that it's nice to read things that are very like prose that's very lyric, and that's partially because I don't have, my attention span is so limited that sometimes I just having like a line or two that's lyric makes me feel like I'm transported, like listening to Chen, like you hear those lines and you just feel like you're being transported,
Yeah, totally. Yeah. When you found that book, by the way, I love the Walking on the Ceiling. How did you find it?
Oh, I had a student in the Missioner Center had recommended it to me. I get all my book recommendations. I figure out what to read just from my students, because they're reading much more widely than I am. So it was kind of great.
That's so cool. Okay, next question. How do you read? What's your reading practice?
Well, in the old days, I used to sit in an armchair and read in the afternoons. And now I just sort of read before I go to sleep. I aspire to read on the porch, but I've been having a hard time. I've just been having a hard time with bugs in Texas, and so.
What are you talking about?
It's really, just I'm struggling with that. I don't read as much because of the bugs. No, it's my fault. But still, I'd like to be out more, sitting there on the nice porch.
Yeah. A Texas summer is it's a hell of a thing. It can be a bit of a struggle, for sure. Yeah. But do you read one book at a time? Are you several different books? Are you jumping around, reading old book, reading a new, like an old book that you're rereading?
I tend to read one book at a time, but I think with poems, I have a different operation, I guess, for poems. Well, I'll read several books of poetry at once, and I'll be shuffling between different poems. But when I'm reading prose, I like just kind of getting lost in the storyline. I love that kind of, and because I don't write prose, I feel that freedom of like, this is purely for pleasure, so I just like getting lost in it. Yeah,
I hear that. It's interesting, like right now, because the getting lost, I love getting lost as well, and I end up getting lost in two books. So right now, for example, I'm reading, my dad writes medical thrillers, and he just put a new book out called A Clinical Disaster. And so I'm reading this book, Clinical Disaster, and it's got crazy things and wildfires and all kinds of wildness happen. So I'm reading that right now, but I'm also reading Dostoevsky's The Idiot. So I get them like in my mind. I'm like, now, was Prince Miskin running away from the forest fire in central Austin, or how did that happen? And so I'm very lost. Lost is the perfect word.
Kind of whiplash, though, to have that back and forth.
Yeah, it's very, very much a whiplash. And then I'm reading some poetry at the same time. So it's like, what's Walt Whitman doing in St. Petersburg? I'd love to see Walt Whitman in St. Petersburg.
I know, right?
Okay. Last question is, what are you celebrating?
Well, I guess two things. My boyfriend and I just moved into a new place, and so just being here with him, it feels a little bit like a haven space that we're in right now. So that's really nice. And then on a bigger scale, my father graduated from hospice. He had a stage 4 lung cancer, and he just kept getting better and better over the last couple of years. And then he just graduated, and now he's cancer free. So none of us can really believe it,
Wow.
So that is like every day, that's kind of a mystery that's wonderful,
Gosh, that is wonderful.
Yeah, so.
Oh, well, that's great. So Joanna, what are you going to be reading to us tonight?
Well, I was thinking I would read something from my new book, but in the spirit of maybe reading something that's in progress.
You don't have to. It's your call. You can definitely read something from your new book if you'd like to.
Well, I think I'll read this. This is something I wrote fairly recently. I wrote this for my friend Caroline. She's an artist named Caroline Woolard, and she just had a baby exactly 11 weeks ago today. And maybe, it's sort of in my mind right now because of this, what you were talking about with Nina too, that, what it means to have a baby right now, born into this world that we're in. And so I wrote a poem for him, and his name is Leander Lyon Enzo Woolard. And he was born in a thunderstorm, and apparently he arrived just roaring. And so they call him the baby lion. He roars like a lion.
Oh,
and
all right. I'm just gonna introduce you then. I'm so excited to hear this poem. So ladies and gentlemen, everyone out there, as a lot of Texans already know, it was in Texas during a summer where applause was born for the first time, and it was a way to kill mosquitoes so that we could celebrate. So we're killing mosquitoes. I want you to just kill as many mosquitoes as you can for Joanna Kling.
That's a whole new way of thinking about applause. Okay, so this is a poem to welcome Leander Lyon Enzo Woolard into the world, and it's just called A Welcome. Hello, Leander, tucked into cloth, tiny lion who yawns through the virus and tear gas. You are a new scent of heat. Before any scar grazes your legs, I would show you the rows of bicycles in burned colors and whistles and cardinals who pin the cold snow. You hold a small share of what it means to be here. When the air shatters around you, silver and marine, please know you belong. You are half sky, half butterfly net, alive to friends and strangers, fast to net and trust. There is nothing that is not worth much. Arrayed in overalls and tackle box, you should grow to see the deep green rains, the roads brushing the clouds. To compass all you have done from a porch in late life and listen to the bees who, woolen and undeterred, have returned. I hope you stay warm inside the white dusk of morning. No one stays unscathed, but you have days of summer to grow into your thoughts and learn the great caring tasks. You have yards of tree light to race through under the birds' low, song-swept radiances. The trills you hear are glass grace. They are singing.
Oh, goodness. Oh, Joanna, that was beautiful. Thank you for that. I really appreciate that. And I'm sure your friend does. And that little kid is going to have a wonderful time when he learns to read and and is handed this poem and said, by the way, this was written for you.
Yeah, or he might be like, wait a minute. I mean, it's he's 11 weeks right now, so
Yeah.
to go.
He's gonna be like, so do I get royalties?
I know,
mean,
right.
Where's the ka-ching? Well, that's so wonderful. In all sincerity, welcome to Austin. Really glad to have you, and I know the Missioner program is super thrilled to have you. But I'm looking forward to hanging out with you in person and congratulating you on the new poems that you're writing then too.
Oh, thank you so much for having me too.
Have a good night, Joanna.
Okay, good night.
And from Joanna's poem, by the way, there were so many good lines, and I'm agreeing with Beth. Yeah, that was so lovely, and how just cool that was. Michelle, yeah, they are singing. Just got like, just got me so much. I thought maybe the phrase that we were going to have as a possible title was "New Scent of Heat" as a possible title for the August 1st, 2020 One Page Salon, New Scent of Heat. Partially, I'm saying that because I'm in my shed and it is rather warm. I am wearing a velvet jacket, though I do have now a portable AC unit. My parents gifted me with a portable AC unit, which is really nice, but it just is kind of, I keep it off when we're talking. But whoo, I'm sweating like I'm being interviewed by Charles Wallace. Okay, so I think, this would be a time for Becca and I to talk a little bit about things that are coming up. Becca is out there somewhere. Let's see if I can find her. Hi, Becca. Oh, there you are.
Hi, Owen.
That looked like I just sort of brought you up like a very Star Trek-y thing. It's funny. I sometimes think about this. It is remarkable. It is remarkable, one, that we have all this technology that we can see each other talk. We can get a bunch of different people together in one room and have conversations and chat, see each other's faces, all this. That's remarkable sci-fi wildness. The second thing is we complain so much about it. Like, we're living in the future. We're like, well, I'm tired of being able to communicate via face and technology and internet.
Do you want to hear the two terms the two new things I learned today? First, do you know there's this thing called Zoom apnea, that people aren't breathing enough when they're on video or when they're doing these I think it was called screen apnea, but now they're saying it's happening not just when you're looking at your phone or your computer, but especially when you're on these long Zoom calls. So I think everybody should just take a deep breath, right? Can we do that right now? Everybody take a deep breath. Okay. Good job.
That's good. John Pipkin says he's been holding his breath since March 13th.
That's not healthy, John Pipkin.
That is not.
I think he's exaggerating.
No.
The other term I heard today was, instead of a zombie, that were zombies.
Ooh.
Kind of like that one.
Yeah.
So
my kids have definitely grabbed onto the generation Zoomers instead of boomers.
Oh,
like
yeah.
Okay, Zoomer.
Okay, Zoomer.
They like that. Yeah.
Oh, that's fun. Fun.
It's fun.
Kids are punny. So now is usually when we would pick the winner of the lottery for next month.
Yes.
But I think we were talking about actually just holding the lottery in the room at the next one.
I love that. Let's do that.
Right.
So that means, what Becca's talking about is we do, for every One Page Salon, we have the OPS lottery. And it's not like Shirley Jackson's lottery. No one dies at the end.
So different. So different.
But instead, basically, what you do, just like Rachel Barchus did, she put her name basically into a hat and we drew it out. And often we'll do it so that you can read at the next month. But we've also been doing it so that you read that very night. So the next One Page Salon, which will be the first Saturday of September, which I don't know what that first Saturday. September 5th. Okay. And we'll be telling you more about that and getting the word out about that. But that Saturday, we're going to be doing another virtual One Page Salon. And if you sign up that night, then if you want to, you can read a page that very night that you know, you'll be in that lottery. It's pretty fun. I always am impressed with people bold enough to do that.
Yeah. Yeah. I think that's a great idea. We'll bring that back. I love it.
Yeah, I love that
So,
too.
so yeah, so I think that was all that you wanted to talk to me about, right? Unless there's anything else.
Anything else you want to push that Writers League of Texas that people can sign up?
No, I mean, we're going to spend the whole month doing the summer writing retreat. So I would just say to anyone out there who wants to commit to their writing for the month of August, or just wants to hang out and have a great time with a bunch of other writers and some wonderful instructors, check out our website and we will happily sign you up. But otherwise, thank you, Owen, for doing this. This has been really great. And I'm super excited to get off the screen so that you can bring up our final reader of the night.
Yeah, final reader of the night.
We'll see you later.
All right, Becca. See you later.
He changed his shirt since the last time we saw him. Who knows?
Let's not raise the bar. And yeah, so thank you guys once again for all those people who are out there. Oh, look at this. Tom Booker is here as well. He's going to be doing the August Writers League of Texas stuff, which is fantastic. All kinds of cool stuff. Hi, Hillary. Good to see you there too. All right. So our last reader of the night, we have a literary feud that's going on. It's one of those crazy, probably history-making feuds. They're going to be talking about this, like Fitzgerald and Hemingway, which would be me, and some other non-known author, which would be our next reader, and that sort of feud. Manuel Gonzalez, incredible writer, incredible short story writer. His novel, The Regional Office, is under attack. Oh, damn it. Well, he has the ability to change too. His short story collection, The Miniature Wife, is fantastic. He's won all kinds of different awards. He's also a screenwriter. He teaches literature at Bennington College, and he's also a good friend. Give it up for Manuel Gonzalez. Hi, Manuel.
Owen.
How? You look good. Thank you for finding a tie.
Not just a tie, but a fancy neckerchief.
It's just a neckerchief. Hang on, let's see if we're gonna go large with you too, so we can see. There we go. Oh, I see.
It's a doily.
It's a doily. Why do you have a doily in your house?
So I went downstairs to make myself a drink at one point, but then when I gussied myself up, I just pulled random crap from the dresser that's right next to me.
And that was a doily and a tie. Okay.
Yep.
All right. Well, that's good. That's good. Hillary mentions, by the way, that you're also a pie maker. I did not mention that, but of course you are. You're an accomplished pie maker.
Sure. Yes, thanks.
Yeah.
I mean, I bake pies. I used to bake them semi-professionally. I went to the Olympics.
In pie.
Yes.
What was your time?
22.
I thought you were going to say 3.14.
That would have been funny.
Well, all right. It's good to see you, Manuel. It's nice to see you in a tie too. I gotta say, you look good.
Well, I was getting so much crap about my shirt. I had to, and you were wearing a tie.
I am.
And so I looked up how to tie a half Windsor knot just now.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, you did a good job. My daughter does mine.
Oh,
So
really?
yeah, I know how to tie a tie, but it's like a crappy version. My daughter learned how to tie like a tie well. So every time I need it.
I got a lot of this.
Oh, that's
I got a lot of that. It's
Yep.
like I'm who is it? The what are the Stan and Ollie?
Mm-hmm.
Those guys. I'm like the fat one with the really short tie.
Yeah, and you got the little thing flapping at the end.
Mm.
That's how about that? How about that? You think they're gonna have you back at Bennington in the fall?
If they're watching this, maybe not.
I was gonna say, yeah. Well, you're always welcome in the writer's shed down here in Austin.
I don't want to be in the. That's like a punishment.
It's all right. I'm very happy. I'm very relaxed the way writer should. Okay, are you ready for your 3 questions?
Yes. Are they the same questions or are they different questions?
Maybe. Same questions. First one is, what has been your favorite book of the last 6 months of this crazy time of 2020?
Well, so it's been hard to read. Like
Yeah.
a lot of people have, oh, you're gonna drink, I'm gonna drink.
No. Cheers to you.
Here's to you. It's been hard to read. I've been jumping around. Like I think I've read 4 or 5 books since March, and I'm usually a much more avid reader. But you know, I read True Grit for the first time, and that was a delightful novel. And I read a really good novel by Kevin Wilson, the Nothing to See Here. But the thing that I've really landed on, and I'm not finished with it, I think I have like 8 chapters left, is Jane Austen's Mansfield Park.
Oh.
Which is amazing. It's a really I'm on the edge of my seat to see what's going to happen with Miss Fanny Price by the end of this novel. She's conflicted over so many things, and there also, I think in that book is maybe the first appearance of a handsome fella saying about a young woman, I'm going to make her fall in love with me, and then leave her behind, and then entirely falls in love with her by accident. And she hates it.
She hates him?
Yeah. Oh yeah.
Oh wow.
It's on the back of the book, Becca. Also, it was written in 1811. No spoilers for books that were written in 1811.
You expect us all to have read up to 1811 by now? Goodness, at 4 books every 6 months, I don't think you're going to get through the 17th century.
Yeah, I jump around. It's a really good book. Jane Austen. I'm teaching a class of 4 of her novels in the fall.
Yeah.
And I am diving into her work in a way that I'd never done before, and it's really enjoyable. She's really fucking brilliant.
Yeah, she's got a good reputation. She's doing all right. Well earned. Yeah. So tell me this. Going on to question number 2. What is your reading practice? How do you read?
Oh, I read slipshod. I'm everywhere. Like I'll have, like right now on my nightstand are 12 books, of which I've read 10 pages out of any of them.
Yeah.
And then I'll, like, on my way up to bed, I'll look at the bookshelf and see if there's just another one that I want to bring up, because there are just so few things that are really holding me. I just keep moving. But even before the pandemic, I would read 2 or 3 books at a time.
Yeah. It's very true. The pandemic's been so much of a distraction, but and I've kind of forced myself into a couple of books, like Dostoevsky. I'm like, I'm just going to read The Idiot this time, and it's I love it. It's such a beautiful book. But it's amazing just overall how many books I have where like there they all are, and I've got maybe this much left of so many books. I'm like, if I just tried, I could finish each one of these books, if I just like sat down and did it. But like, I think it's like, sometimes it's hard for me to eat the last bite on a plate. I'm just gonna leave that broccoli right there. So sometimes I'm that with books too.
Yeah. I'm right now in the opposite, where I have so much of all of these books to read, but also half of them are books that I've read before that I find comforting.
Yeah.
Or I'll reread them every year, and I felt like, oh, this will be the thing that holds me.
Yeah.
And they've not yet, which is not their fault, right? And it's your fault, Owen.
Oh, yeah.
I was going to say it's nobody's fault, but I think it's yours.
I'm happy to take that blame. I can hold that for you. Yeah.
Thank you.
Next question. What are you celebrating right now?
Rum. I'm celebrating rum a lot. I got a tiki bar book and some Baby Yoda tiki glasses, and 6 bottles of rum and the fixings for a number of, like, I've been squeezing the crap out of fresh citrus left and right and making extraordinarily easy to drink, deadly tiki drinks about every night beginning around 4, which I know technically
Not night.
not night, but every day is Wednesday. Every 4 o'clock is cocktail hour. So, so yeah, that's what I've been celebrating. I've been
Wow.
celebrating and celebrating with.
I see. And I wish I could see one of your Baby Yoda tiki mugs.
I know I meant to bring one up, but I was worried about missing out on something, so I ran down real quick. I didn't even make a rum drink. I just poured myself a glass of rye and then ran back up.
Well,
I didn't want to miss Nina's really great writing. Also, everybody's, what a lovely night of readings that you and Becca have put together, and I'm sorry for what's about to happen.
Oh, well, that's great. That's a great lead. And what is about to happen, Manuel? What are you going to read to us tonight?
Oh, I'm going to read from a short story that I think I'm finished with. I'm not sure. I'm still going back and forth, but it's a short story that I've written in the past couple of weeks that I'll just read from the beginning of. I don't know that I have a title for it yet. I mean, I have a title for it, but I don't like it.
Maybe we'll find it tonight.
Yeah, maybe.
Maybe people in the chat room tonight. All right, so ladies and gentlemen out there, wherever you are in your home, I want you to make the sound of Manuel Gonzalez's liver as 4 o'clock approaches, and they know the citrus and the rum are coming their way. Just a kind of rah, 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 rah noise of both delight and fear. Give it up for Manuel Gonzalez.
Thank you. The light in this room was so weird, so I put the landscape of Bennington College behind me, but now I look even stranger. So this will be the start of this story that's tentatively titled Neon Lights. Nicole said the car was possessed, and Johnny said, demon possessed? And she said, is there any other kind? And then the car honked loud and long, even though Nicole had her arms, both of them, out of the window, folded one over the other, and her face poking out from the dark of the car and resting on top of her hands. The whole look of her, like she was part of a movie poster. The horn blast finally stopped, and she shook her head and smiled and said, see? That horn business notwithstanding, Johnny wasn't entirely convinced the car was possessed by anything except for bad taste. An old teal blue Chrysler Neon with a grungy looking tan fabric interior. It didn't even have a CD player in it, just a tape deck. A quick glance at any of the literature tells you all you need to know about demon-possessed cars. Namely, they look pretty fucking cool. And not just the fictional ones like the car in The Car, Lincoln Continental Mark III, an evil-looking car, if ever there was one. Or Christine from Christine, a Plymouth Fury? That name, Christ, even the name feels evil. But also the real life ones, like the car Christine was modeled after, the Golden Eagle, a 1964 Dodge 330, or the Porsche 550 Spider James Dean drove off the road. All of them kick-ass cars and nothing like a Chrysler Neon. But then, grabbing the passenger door handle, Johnny's fingers went white hot, and then, if you can imagine it, white cold. He tried, but couldn't let go of the door handle and couldn't stop screaming his full head off. And then a charge of electricity threw him off and knocked him hard on his ass against the street. Maybe try the back seat, Nicole told him, helping him back to his feet and dusting him off. Not sure the front's gonna let you in. Then the engine revved real loud, even though both of them were standing outside the car, and they had to scramble to jump back in it, Johnny in the back seat, before it drove off on its own. Once they were on the road, Johnny tried to climb over the seats to the front, but something pulled him into the back, and finally he shrugged and told Nicole, "No, that's cool. I'm good back here." But then a dead ghost of a kid materialized, the shape of him wavering into focus in the back seat, and sat there, quietly staring out the window. And that wasn't super cool. Nicole had been looking for a car for about a month, ever since she passed her driver's test. But since the kind of car she was looking for was the kind possessed by evil spirits, Johnny didn't think she'd have much luck. The way Nicole figured it, owning a demon-possessed car would make her some kind of a badass. The way she told it, anyone who could control a demon-possessed car could control her destiny. Johnny didn't want any part of that car, to be perfectly honest. But he went along with it anyway. Because what he did want was for Nicole to have whatever she wanted. Because at that time, he was young enough to believe that people want the things that are best for them. Here in the story, I think it's important to clarify that Johnny loved Nicole, and Nicole loved Johnny, but neither of them like that, by which I mean Nicole and Johnny were not together, nor should they have been together. Nor did one of them want to be with the other, while the other navigated blithely through life, unburdened by the other's love, because that wasn't it at all. Which is to say, not every love story is that kind of love story. And that's it. Thank you.
Damn, Manuel, that's pretty beautiful.
Oh, thanks.
Yeah, that was fantastic. And you know, I don't like complimenting you. So
I know.
yeah, that was fantastic. And of course, as always, what a great reader. I'm pretty thrilled. So that you feel that's about done. You're gonna be sending that out at some point. Maybe we'll see that out in the world at some point soon.
Yeah, maybe. We'll see what happens. I just finished it about a week ago, and now I'm letting it sit.
Yeah. I love that. Of course, I love also all the references to demon-possessed car movies and books. Look, pretty good. You went deep.
Thanks.
And
Yeah.
I think, yeah.
No, go ahead. You go.
I was thinking I chose a phrase that I was like, this one struck me, and it seems like you could use it as a title. You know, no skin off my back. But all you need to know about demon-possessed cars.
That's actually pretty good, because I have like two little mini like historical sections in it about the Golden Eagle, which was possessed, and then the James Dean Spider 550, which Alec Guinness was apparently, when he first saw James Dean with that car, Alec Guinness told him, do not drive that car, it will be the death of you. And it was.
Wow.
Yeah. So yeah, maybe all you need to know about demon-possessed cars.
That also though might end up being the title of tonight's Page Salon. In that case, you could still use it. You just have to send in a little ching ching. Barbara,
titles. You can't copyright titles.
I'm gonna look up lawyer.com, find out. That might be wrong.
I have to take off my dickie.
Okay. Barbara recommends the title Nicole, Johnny, and the Demon.
Oh, that's
That's a
good.
possibility. And Michelle complimented you on the whole letting it sit. I do that too. I think letting it sit for writers is such a great thing. You write your thing. Actually, Stephen King, of course, who you referenced, is a big believer in that. Like he has his closed door draft. He writes an entire book and then he leaves it alone. He leaves it for a month. He doesn't look at it. He doesn't think about it. He doesn't read it. And then he comes back to it a month later.
Who was that? What was that name?
Stephen King. Have you heard of him?
No. Is he a musician?
Well, yeah, he is a musician.
He's in that band with Amy Tan, isn't he?
Yep. That's the one. Well, Manuel, thank you so much for sharing with us. Really appreciate it.
Thanks for inviting me out. It was really enjoyable evening.
Yeah, and we'll see you soon. Okay, so now we're down to the final thing that we have to do for the one-page salon, which is naming the one-page salon. In fact, I think as Becca will be bringing the other folks back on, but let's go ahead and you guys can basically be answering in the chat room, and I'll do an incredibly formal count of everyone's vote. It's going to be incredibly formal. But let me just go through the possible ones, and you can go ahead and write your thought of what should be the title of the August 1st, 2020 one-page salon. Is it going to be Killed My Uncle? Is it going to be You Will Answer? Is it going to be You Know This Is a Witch Baby? Is it going to be New Scent of Heat? Or is it going to be All You Need to Know About Demon-Possessed Cars? Yeah, it could be any of those. Let's see. People are coming back and saying, let's see. You know it's going to be a witch baby, Killed My Uncle. Oh, the voting is really it's amazing. Someone just said car. Fair enough. You know, it's a witch baby. Oh, it's witch baby's in the lead right now. Let's see. You got to vote, people. This is how democracy works. This is a great New Scent of Heat. Tom Booker voted 3 times for witch baby. That is not how democracy works, Tom Booker.
Where do we get our mail-in ballots?
Right. Michelle was saying Heat for August. I know. Okay. Sai is saying, you know, this is going to be a witch baby from me. I know, Sai, is from you because you put it in. Demon Cart. It's very tight. Oh, Scent of Heat. Oh, On says Scent of Heat. I see Sai was right. Oh my gosh. It's so much. I'm just going to call it though. I'm calling it is You Know This Is a Witch Baby. You Know This Is a Witch Baby is the title of the 2020 August 1st one-page salon. Thank you guys so much. I just want to thank each and every one of our, first of all, let me just thank everyone who's been watching and chatting and being with us, both watching us in the Zoom room, watching on YouTube as well, and for donating, whether it's just your time of being here, encouraging, or financially giving to support people of color in publishing, which is a great organization. And also for supporting all these writers and all the cool different things that they're doing and being here tonight. And then let's just give it up for all the different readers that read here tonight. Nina McConaughey, who's gone to sleep with her baby, Rachel Barchus, Chen Chen, Joanna Klink, and Manuel Gonzalez. It's been a really big thrill to be with you guys tonight, and I hope you had a great time. And we will see you the first Saturday of September back here with another really cool lineup. Anything to add, Becca?
Thank you, Owen, for a super fun night. We really appreciate it. And we know the writing shed is hot, but we appreciate you sitting there and doing this. I got nothing.
Pleasure. All right. Bye, guys.
Bye, guys.
Manuel,
Thank you. What amazing reading. Thank you so much,
guys.
everyone.
Bye, Rachel. Bye, guys. Everyone, thank you, guys. Have a great night. Keep reading. Keep talking. Keep embracing each other with words. We're moving towards better times all the times, and the better times that we'll be creating. Have a good night, guys.
Nice.